Welcome back to Fall in the Field at the Rogue River Preserve. Now that we've dissected a real steelhead, let's see how it compares to your own design of a salmon. How is your designed salmon and the real salmon similar? How are they different? Did you include features in your designed salmon that you also saw in the real salmon? Did you discover any new features during the dissection? We know that hatchery-raised salmon have their adipose fin removed to distinguish them from wild salmon. Could there be other differences too? We also talked about the potential risks of hatchery-raised salmon having lower genetic diversity due to the controlled environment in which they are produced. What does genetic diversity mean anyways? This refers to the variety of genes within a population that can be passed on to offspring. Populations that are able to disperse farther and reproduce with different individuals have greater genetic diversity. Greater genetic diversity also means that these individuals are better adapted to survive various challenges, such as disease or food scarcity. Therefore, they have greater resilience to change. Hatchery-raised salmon with lower genetic diversity may be more prone to disease or may be less prepared than wild salmon for the challenges of a natural environment. Fish hatcheries provide some very important services to fish and to humans. Hatcheries provide a means for increasing the salmon populations and are also critical elements of local economies, providing food for people all over the world and producing fish for outdoor recreation. There are still many questions left unanswered. Do hatchery-raised fish and wild fish compete with each other? Can they tell the difference? What quality of offspring results when a hatchery-raised fish and a wild fish reproduce? Although the number of salmon may be kept at desirable levels by adding hatchery-raised fish, what is the quality of the genetic pool of the overall population? Pause the video and write down some of your thoughts.
Other human activities impact salmon populations as well. Dams obstruct the salmon's journey upstream to their spawning grounds. Development, agriculture, and logging also result in significant changes to or loss of their habitat. Chemical pollution from agriculture, industries, and mines can create unlivable aquatic environments. In addition, climate change and ocean acidification pose even more challenges to salmon populations, like warmer waters without dissolved oxygen, a fatal environment for a salmon. So what is to be done? How can humans support salmon populations for a healthy future? What are some of your ideas? Pause the video and write down some of your thoughts.
Some ways to support salmon are to avoid using chemicals that could enter waterways, such as fertilizers or car wash solution. Even picking up and bagging your dog's waste is a great way to prevent pollutants from entering waterways. Salmon require cold, clear, and clean water for swimming and spawning. Leaving down woody debris in streams slows down water and provides shelter during resting periods. Planting trees or native plants along the stream banks shades the water and keeps the soil from eroding, keeping it cool and clear. Get involved in your community with organizations like the Rogue Riverkeeper for even more ways to help support these vital fish and their habitat. Also, continue telling the story of salmon. With lives full of changes and challenges, they show amazing strength and resilience. We can all learn an important lesson from salmon on perseverance, determination, and facing challenges head on. Like the salmon, we were built for this. Thanks for joining us here at Fall on the Field. See you next time.